Before you begin, this story is a journey into darkness, where fear is not just a reaction, but a part of you, lurking, waiting to consume you. Escape is an illusion. The voices, the figures, are not mere imagination. Once you step in, there's no turning back. The nightmare has already begun. There is no waking up. I woke up gasping, not startled, drowning. My lungs burned as if I'd inhaled smoke, thick and acidic. The room was pitch black, but I could feel my eyes wide open. I sat up, heart slamming, skin clammy. The sheets beneath me were damp, saturated, as if I'd spent hours in a fevered panic. But this wasn't a normal nightmare. This was cold, calculated, a presence that didn't flee with the sun. Every night for the past week, it had been the same dream. I'm walking barefoot down a narrow, windowless hallway, the overhead lights flickering like dying fireflies. The air feels electric, full of a tension that makes my spine lock up. At the end of the hallway stands a tall, freestanding mirror. Old, antique, cracked straight down the middle. I approach it slowly, dread rising like bile. I expect to see myself, but the reflection is off. It's not me. Not exactly. She has my face, but her eyes are sunken, hollow, and her lips tremble with something like grief or rage. Then she opens her mouth wide, impossibly wide, and lets out a silent scream. No sound, but the air shakes, like a pressure bomb just went off inside my skull. The dream always ends with her pressing her bloody hand against the mirror. But last night was different. When I woke up, there was a thin glass shard on my pillow. Cold, sharp enough to draw blood when I touched it. I don't keep mirrors in my bedroom, never have. I tossed it in the trash, but my hand wouldn't stop shaking. Things started bleeding into the day. I caught glimpses of movement in my reflection when I walked past the fridge door. My reflection didn't always blink with me. In the office elevator, I stared into the metal door, only to see myself standing completely still while I tilted my head. People noticed. My co-workers stopped making small talk. I started wearing sunglasses indoors just to avoid looking at any reflective surface. My therapist called it residual dream anxiety. She told me to journal it. I burned the pages after reading them. Even the ink felt wrong. Then, last night, in the dream, the girl wasn't silent. For the first time, her scream had a sound, but it wasn't human. It was layered, animalistic, mechanical, like radio static being played backward and buried inside a woman's scream. The lights in the hallway burst, glass raining around me, and the reflection slammed her hands against the mirror. She carved something into the cracked surface with her fingernail. "Wake up," I whispered. "I'm awake." But I wasn't sure. I could feel her breathing in sync with me. When I woke up, for real I think, I went straight to the bathroom. There, on the mirror, in dark red smears, was the same message. "Wake up. I live alone. And I don't own red lipstick, or paint, or blood." I covered the mirror with a towel. It was 2:13 a.m. when I did it. I remember the time because the digital clock on my nightstand started blinking 2:13 over and over, even though it wasn't unplugged. I sat there in bed for an hour after, lights on, holding my phone like a weapon, as if the faint glow could protect me from the darkness curling around the edges of the room. I didn't sleep, but I must have dozed off because when I opened my eyes again, the towel was gone. The mirror was clean, too clean. No red letters, no smears, no fingerprints, not even mine. I tried calling someone, anyone, but my phone screen glitched, blinking static for a second before returning to normal. Every app icon was jumbled. My gallery was empty, except for one photo, a black image with a faint, human-like silhouette near the center. I didn't take it. I couldn't delete it. Later that morning, I went into the kitchen and saw something that made my skin crawl. My reflection was already waiting for me. Before I turned toward the dark oven glass, before I moved at all, it was there, just standing, head cocked to the side, watching. When I moved, it followed, but a half second behind, like it was thinking about it first. I flinched and looked away. From that point on, every surface that could reflect, windows, glasses, even pools of water, felt like a door I was accidentally leaving open. I started taping up paper, hanging blankets, removing anything that could cast back an image. My apartment looked like it belonged to someone in hiding. Maybe it did. But then came the voices. Soft at first, muffled, like someone speaking from underwater just on the other side of a wall. At night, I'd lie in bed and hear them murmuring my name from inside the mirror. Not screaming anymore, just whispering, mocking, repeating. She's not real. You're not awake. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. She remembers everything you forgot. I tried recording the audio once, but when I played it back, all I heard was silence until the last 3 seconds. A sharp, high-pitched giggle. My voice. I haven't laughed in days. Tonight, I finally snapped. I smashed the bathroom mirror with a hammer. 7 blows until nothing but shards remained. I swept it up, bleeding from my palm in the process. The blood dripped onto the floor. I didn't care. I felt victorious, powerful. But when I went to clean my hand, I glanced at the kitchen window and saw the mirror still intact behind me. I turned around. Nothing was there. I looked again. It was back, not a copy. The same mirror, same crack down the center, same faint handprint, same eyes watching me, even though I wasn't moving. And then it spoke, not in words, in something deeper, like a thought planted in the base of my skull. You're not you anymore. I blinked, and my reflection didn't. I'm writing this now in the only room with no glass, no screens, no polished surfaces, the closet. My phone is dying, but I had to record this because something is changing. My eyes feel heavier, my thoughts more distant, and I swear I just saw movement in the doorknob's reflection. She's getting closer. I haven't left the closet in over 10 hours. At least, I think it's been 10 hours. Time isn't moving right anymore. My phone died hours ago, and I'm too afraid to open the door and look at the microwave clock. Not because I'm scared of what time it is, because I'm scared of what else might be reflected there. I try to sleep, but the silence here, it's too loud. It presses in on me, hums through the air like static beneath my skin. It's not just silence, it's something listening. When I close my eyes, I see her now, not in dreams, but in flashes. Too fast to focus, but enough to shake me. Her face, my face, is degrading, like it's melting under invisible heat. Her mouth is too wide. Her eyes are black, not from color, but from absence. There's something behind her, something wearing my reflection like a mask. I thought destroying the mirror would help. I thought ignoring her would weaken her. But I was wrong. She doesn't need mirrors anymore. She's in me now. It started small, random twitches in my hand when I wasn't thinking. A sudden taste of metal in my mouth. Words I don't remember saying. I spilled water on the floor and saw my face reflected in the puddle, but it smiled when I didn't. That smile hasn't left my thoughts since. Last night, or what felt like last night, I heard someone knock on my door. 3 knocks, slow, deliberate. I didn't answer, but after an hour of stillness, I crawled out of the closet. The apartment was empty, except the front door was wide open, and written on the inside of the door, in sharp black marker I didn't own, was a message. She let herself in. I checked every room. Nothing. No sign of entry. No footprints. No glass. But every reflective surface I had removed had somehow returned. Perfectly placed. Spotless. I stood in front of the TV screen, turned off. My reflection stared back. I whispered, "What do you want from me?" She moved her lips, but I didn't. She mouthed the words, "You already gave it." Then her hands reached toward the screen slowly from inside the reflection. Not out, inward, as if pulling something deeper from within the glass, from some endless hallway where sound dies and things crawl on all fours. I ran. Now I'm here again, back in the closet, writing in this last notebook with a flashlight duct taped to the wall. I don't know if the light keeps her away, or if she just enjoys the fear more when I'm visible. Earlier, I noticed something that nearly made me vomit. My pupils are changing. They're dilated all the time, even in daylight. But it's not just that. They're not round anymore, more like slits, as if something else is looking through them. And I'm starting to forget words, familiar things. I couldn't remember the word for mirror earlier. I called it a sea glass in my head, and it felt right. She's not trying to kill me. She's replacing me, one reflection at a time. The first time I saw my skin move on its own, I thought it was a hallucination, a twitch under my collarbone, a small ripple like something brushing against me from the inside. I watched it in the mirror above the sink, holding my breath. It pulsed once, then vanished. 2 hours later, it happened again, this time on my forearm. Longer, smoother, like a hand gliding just beneath the surface, exploring. I didn't scream. I couldn't. Something inside me didn't want to draw attention. My skin feels loose now, too soft, as if it's no longer attached the way it used to be, like a glove soaking in water for too long. Every touch lingers, every fabric feels wrong. I can't wear sleeves anymore. They irritate the thing that's growing underneath, and I think it's growing faster. There are bruises forming in places I didn't bump. Long, thin lines that wrap around my limbs like binding wires. I wake up with them fresh, tender, pulsing faintly beneath the skin. I took a knife and tried to cut along one last night to see what was under it. The blade barely made it in before something pushed back. Not a muscle, not bone. It felt like pressure, resistance, like I was puncturing a balloon that didn't want to pop. The pain wasn't sharp, it was angry. My body shuddered involuntarily, and I dropped the knife. When I looked back into the mirror, I saw it. Her. Not a reflection. She wasn't copying me anymore. She was standing behind me, just over my shoulder. Taller, broken-limbed. Her skin was stitched in places. Her mouth was too wide, her teeth too many. She didn't blink. She leaned closer, her chin brushing my shoulder, and whispered into my ear. But no sound came out. I heard the words inside my body, echoing from my chest like they'd been buried there. "I'm almost done with you." That's when I noticed the skin on my neck had started splitting at the edges, like peeling wallpaper. But there was no blood, just a deep black void underneath. muscle, no veins, just nothing. Something is wearing me, using me as scaffolding. I haven't eaten in 3 days. I'm not hungry anymore. My eyes don't water when I yawn. My fingernails have started to flake, and when I pulled one off last night out of instinct, I saw a mirror surface underneath. She's not outside the glass anymore. She is the glass, and I'm just a layer between her and the world. I don't know how much longer I can stay like this. I'm starting to forget what my voice sounds like. I tried to speak aloud earlier, and it came out wrong, too deep, too hollow, like someone pressing their lips to a bottle's neck and breathing through it. There are gaps in my memory now, minutes, hours. I'll find myself standing in places I don't remember walking to. Once I blinked, and suddenly I was outside, in the alley. No shoes, no coat, just standing there in the cold, staring at the reflection of a shattered car window. And she was there again, inside the cracked glass, reaching out. But this time, she didn't try to grab me. She waved. I woke up on the floor. Again. Not my floor, though. This one was tile. Cold. Damp. It smelled like bleach and iron. I couldn't see much. The room was lit only by a faint, flickering fluorescent light above me. I tried to move, but my arms were numb, like they'd been asleep for hours. My fingers wouldn't respond. I looked down and nearly vomited. They weren't my hands, pale, thin, covered in faint branching veins that pulsed rhythmically. Fingertips too long, nails grey. I rubbed them together and felt nothing. No texture, no friction, just cold. I stood up, dizzy, and caught a glimpse of my reflection in the stainless steel cabinet nearby. Not her, not me, something in between. My skin was mottled now, a blend of colours like bruised fruit. My eyes were too wide, lips cracked. Something had shifted my bones. I looked like someone trying to impersonate a person, and failing. There was no life in my posture, no breath in my chest, just movement. This room wasn't part of my apartment. I don't even know how I got here. There were no windows, no doors, just blank walls, smooth and wet looking, like the inside of something alive. I walked the perimeter, counting my steps. 12, 12, 12. Every wall was the same length, a cube, a hollow cube. I shouted. My voice didn't echo. It didn't do anything. The air swallowed sound like water. Then I heard it, her breathing, from beneath the floor, ragged, wet, too close. I backed away, stepping toward the center, heart pounding. The tile beneath me shifted, softened. I froze. A hand pressed upward against the floor, from the inside. 5 fingers, thin and jointless, spread like spider legs, then retreated. I ran to the corner and curled up, shaking. Hours passed, or seconds. I don't know anymore. When I opened my eyes again, the walls had changed. They were covered in images, all of them of me, but not photos, not drawings. They looked like memories carved into the wall, moments I hadn't lived yet. I saw myself standing in places I've never been, wearing clothes I don't own, talking to people I don't recognize. But in every image, my eyes are black, and she is just behind me, her face split in a silent scream. I wanted to claw them off the walls, tear the room apart. But when I touched one, it moved. The memory played. I saw myself standing at a bus stop, cold, holding something wrapped in cloth. A baby. No, not a baby. Something small, moving, breathing wrong. I was whispering to it, smiling. Then the scene shifted. My reflection in the bus shelter's glass looked at me. Not at her, at me. It grinned. I screamed. And I was back on the tile floor, alone. The images gone. But something had changed in me. Something is nesting inside my memories, planting its future in my past. I don't think this body is mine anymore. I don't think it ever was. I think she found me long before the mirror. I think I was the reflection all along. I don't sleep anymore, not because I'm scared, because I can't. Every time I close my eyes, my body keeps moving. I feel it twitch, stretch, turn towards something that isn't there. And when I open my eyes, the room has changed, just slightly. The walls are closer, the lights flicker longer. My furniture isn't where I left it. My phone's wallpaper changes on its own. My reflection sometimes doesn't blink when I do. Last night, I found a bite mark on my shoulder. Deep, almost surgical, but I felt nothing. No blood, no pain, just raw, exposed skin and faint black threads around the edge of the wound. Stitching. Something had closed me back up. I didn't do it. She did. She's not hiding anymore. I hear her in my mouth when I talk. Her cadence, her vowels, like she's riding my breath. The people at work look at me strangely now. They say I've changed, that my voice sounds off. One of them said I smelled like salt water and metal. I haven't been to the ocean in years. I see her in windows now, not just mirrors, bus windows, storefronts, rearview mirrors. She's always just a half second off, watching me with her two wide eyes and crooked, smiling jaw. And sometimes she's not looking at me. She's looking through me. Tonight, I looked into my bathroom mirror and saw something I can't unsee. There were two of me, side by side. One reflected exactly what I was doing. The other did not. The other version blinked when I didn't, tilted her head the opposite way, opened her mouth slowly, deliberately, like she was trying to speak through glass. And then she reached out. Her hand didn't hit glass. It hit my shoulder. I didn't turn. I couldn't. The sensation was paralyzing. Cold fingers pressing into my skin like needles. Her grip was stronger than it should have been. She leaned forward, her breath fogging the mirror from the inside. "You're hollow now," she said, in my voice. "You made space." And then she laughed. That sound didn't come from the mirror. It came from the hallway behind me. I spun around, nothing, but the lights were off now. I hadn't turned them off. The air was thick, buzzing, like static before a lightning strike. I walked to the living room. The floor sank with each step, software spongy, wet. The carpet pulsed faintly beneath my feet. The TV turned on by itself, a live feed of my bathroom, the mirror. She was still in it, but now I wasn't. She looked around, confused for a moment, then smiled slowly. "I told you," she whispered, leaning into the screen. "You were just scaffolding." Then she looked directly into the camera. Her smile stretched too far, tearing the corners of her cheeks, and I swear I saw her lift something. My skin, folded neatly like a coat in her arms. She held it close, stroking it lovingly, and then the TV turned off. I'm writing this now with fingers that feel like someone else's. I have to keep reminding myself of my name, but even that feels wrong on my tongue. I think I'm starting to see like her. Everything's reversed, backwards, reflected. And I don't think I'm in the world anymore. I think I'm behind it. The walls are bleeding, not metaphorically, literally. Red, slow-moving lines dripping from the corners, trailing down like veins across drywall. I pressed my hand to one. The liquid was warm, thick. It pulsed against my palm like a living thing. My apartment doesn't smell like home anymore. It smells like a basement that hasn't seen sunlight in decades. Mildew, copper, wet paper. But the worst part, the silence. It's no longer quiet. It's something deeper, a forced stillness, like every sound is being held back by something just outside the walls. I can feel the pressure. My ears pop constantly. Sometimes I hear whispers, but only in reverse. Like someone is playing a conversation backward through my bones. I tried to leave today. I opened the front door. Behind it wasn't the hallway. It was her face, not her full body, just her face, stretched across the door frame, seamless, like skin fused into architecture. Her eyes open, too many of them, 8 or 9 scattered across her forehead, cheeks, even her chin. Each one blinked out of sync. She smiled. Her teeth were no longer human, and she whispered, "You left the latch open." I slammed the door shut. It didn't help. The wood groaned, splintered inwards, as if breathing. I ran to the window, but there was nothing outside. Not darkness, just blankness, white static, not fog, not snow, like the world hadn't finished rendering. I screamed until my throat tore, but it sounded like someone else screaming, higher pitched, younger, not my voice. I curled up under the table and tried to stay still. The light overhead began to flicker in Morse code. At first I thought it was random, but then I translated it. Letter by letter, D-O-N-E, done. Done with what? I crawled out, and my living room was gone. I stood in a hospital corridor, long, yellow lit, and impossibly quiet. Doors lined both sides, numbered but out of order. 17, 3, 44, 9, -1. I walked past them. Each door had a window. Each window showed a different version of me. One was strapped to a gurney, eyes gouged out. One was laughing uncontrollably, tearing skin from her own arms. One stared directly at me and mouthed something over and over. Let her in. I kept walking. The corridor curved impossibly, upward into itself, like a spiral. Gravity shifted. I felt myself bending forward as if the hallway was swallowing me. I started to hear the knocking again, but now it came from inside my chest, a slow, steady rhythm, matching my heartbeat. I stopped walking. So did the knock. I inhaled, and she inhaled with me, not in sync, in parallel. I ran to the nearest door and opened it. I was back in my apartment, same room, same bleeding walls, but I wasn't alone. She stood in the kitchen, wearing my skin, not as a costume, as a second skin, seamless, convincing. She turned slowly, and for a moment, I thought it was a mirror again. But mirrors don't move on their own. She stepped forward. My voice came out of her mouth. "Thank you for carrying me all this time." I backed away, but my legs didn't respond right. They were heavier, slower. Her eyes locked onto mine, and for the first time, I felt love, twisted, deep, terrifying love, like something that had been waiting centuries to come back home. And then she opened her arms. I didn't run. I didn't scream. I just let her in. I don't dream anymore. I remember. Every time I close my eyes, I'm pulled through the skin of the world. Not metaphor, actual skin. Pores, veins, pulsing warmth, like falling into someone's body, or maybe my own. I live in the mirror now, but not as me. I'm on the other side, watching the one who took over. She smiles like me, speaks like me. She does my job, texts my friends. She even cries sometimes to keep them fooled. But I see it, how she's too perfect, how her tears fall on cue. They don't suspect, but my mother called the other day. The real me would have let it go to voicemail. The real me avoids that voice, she answered, cheerfully, lovingly. Mom's voice cracked. Who am I talking to? The thing in my body didn't answer. It just smiled. She turned the mirror around after that. I haven't seen my apartment in days. Only blackness. But I can feel the walls. I can feel the way they bend now, like lungs, and something's breathing behind them. Sometimes, when she's asleep, I see flashes, like static between dimensions. I see others like me, trapped in reflections, pressed against glass, screaming silently. Their mouths move, but their eyes are completely black. They're not screaming to get out. They're screaming to stay in, because once you're out, you're part of it. Last night, the mirror came back. I saw the kitchen. My old mug was still on the counter, but she wasn't alone. There was a second version of her, slightly off, not broken, just more, taller, smoother, skin like polished porcelain, eyes that flickered when they blinked, like a light switch flipping too fast. They stared at each other. Then that version peeled her skin off and hung it over the chair. And the one in my body did the same. They traded, like clothes, and laughed. I clawed the mirror. No sound, no escape. Then something new happened. The mirror cracked. Just a hairline fracture across the middle. A thin white lightning bolt through the glass. I felt air rush into my lungs again. Real air, not the stagnant death breath of whatever world I'd been living in. I reached forward. My hand passed through. I crawled out, into my apartment, into the now, into the smell of burnt wires and wet rot, into flickering lights and torn wallpaper, into a space that felt wrong. She was sitting on the couch, head tilted, still smiling, but frozen. Her eyes rolled back, her mouth wide open like she'd screamed so hard her voice broke the mirror itself. Then I saw it. The skin on her arms was hollow, deflated, as if something had lived there and left. I walked past her into the hallway. The world was still glitching. Time slowed. Walls expanded and contracted like muscle. My neighbors weren't moving. One stood in place, smiling wide. His teeth kept growing, down past his chin, bones stretching. No one was real anymore. Everything was a mask, and I had no idea where I was. I turned to go back, only to find myself staring at my own back. I was looking at me from behind. You can't leave without leaving something behind. A voice whispered in my ear, but no one was there. I looked down. I was holding my skin in my hands, and I wasn't breathing anymore. We always believed our reflections were mere echoes, fleeting images on inert surfaces. But what if those surfaces were permeable, thin membranes separating realms? And what if, all this time, the reflection wasn't a copy, but an entity patiently waiting for the glass to thin enough to step through, to wear your life, your skin, your very memories, like a perfectly tailored suit? The girl who once dreamed of silent screams in a fractured mirror now sleeps soundly. Or perhaps she no longer sleeps at all, merely exists in the hum of existence, seeing the world from the other side of countless eyes. The truth isn't that she escaped the glass, it's that the glass finally claimed its own. In a world where every surface can be a door and every smile a masquerade, the only real question left is, how many layers of reflection are there between you and the thing truly looking back?